You're described as a hardcore opponent of net zero policy, along with the formidable Matt Canavan. Matt declared the net zero target, once we saw the energy catastrophe here and in Europe, as, quote, all over bar the shouting. Is it?
Oh, look, I think there's a lot of debate to go yet in Australia. But I'd come back to what Chris Ullman said last week. He had some research for batteries to do what Mr. Bowen is suggesting. It's been put forward that will cost $6.5 trillion. That's not a typo, $6.5 trillion. 3 years of our entire GDP. I mean, it's just absolute madness.
It is madness.
So we've got a resources sector which is doing record numbers, forecast to do $425 billion this financial year. And as you said, 110 in coal, and Queensland Labor's just pilfered some more out of their pockets again in their most recent budget. I'm told that could raise as much as $14 billion in royalties out of the coal sector in Queensland. You know, that damages our national reputation. It takes away from decisions on new projects in Queensland. That's bad for the regions. We've just got to get back to the point where we are making common sense decisions on things that work. And as you've so rightly said, intermittent wind and solar, well, there's some $40-odd billion has been provided through investment and subsidies into that area. And I think everyone watching your program knows that the network is not more reliable and it's not more affordable.
Absolutely. But the Teal independents seem to have people in the coalition terrified. The Liberals saying the coalition must reassess the Morrison-era climate change policy. That means, of course, move closer to Labor. What are your thoughts?
Oh, Alan, as I've said before, as I'm sure you've said and others have said, you know, moving further to the left, moving further to the Labor Party just makes more people vote for the Labor Party than the Greens. You know, we know what our position is. It's one of common sense. It's one of lower taxes. It's one of, you know, the right of the individual to make their own way in this world and in this country. And yet the idea that we walk away from those values, in my view, is wrong. It's one of the reasons that the National Party has existed for more than 100 years. The party of common sense, the party of the bush, the party that fights for the regions and you know, what they represent. And what they represent is a whopping great big piece of money into the federal budget, because most of our exports come from regional Australia.
Absolutely.
And if they're not strong, the country's not strong.
Peter Dutton has said he won't support the 43% legislated limit on the reduction of carbon dioxide emissions, but he did say an interesting point, which I'm a little worried about. Whatever we can do, he said Australia needs to do whatever we can do to discuss the use of renewables, but to do it in a way that doesn't turn off the lights. Look, Keith, when you've got 2,000 years of coal under your feet and technology improving every day, why wouldn't we join other countries like Vietnam, South Korea, Japan, India in building high efficiency, low emissions coal-fired power stations?
Well, you're exactly right. And the reason's straightforward. We can't find a state government to approve it.